This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again, and thank you so much to everyone for the follows this week on X. For anyone who hasn't done so yet, please come follow me on X for some week time wrestling chat, banter and discussion. I am at Amanda SD Pod. That's at Amanda SD Pod. And for anyone who is interested and who has been following, who isn't based in the UK and has been wondering all week how the English football team did in the Euro finals, let me tell you, we absolutely sucked. We lost to Spain. But good news is the sun has been shining this week and it is hot, hot, hot. Not hot, hot, hot probably for the rest of the world's population, but for us pale-skinned English people with no air conditioning, too hot. I am a massive sports fan, so I'm excited that the Olympics start next week. And for the first time since we hosted in London in 2012, it's actually in our time zone, which makes it even more exciting. It means we don't have to get up even more in the middle of the night to watch our sporting events. So just in case things sound a bit different this week, normally I watch SmackDown on a Saturday morning after recording it from BT Sports. But this week I've got a pretty busy weekend, so I've watched it live and I'm recording right after. So it's currently 3:10 in the morning UK time as I record this. So here's hoping I don't doze off at the mic. So without further ado, let's get this started and let's talk about what you're all here to hopefully listen to. And that is a review of the SmackDown that aired on the 19th of July from Omaha in Nebraska. The only thing I know about Nebraska is that it's where Penny is from, out of the Big Bang Theory. So if anyone wants to fire me any fun facts about Nebraska, please feel free to go ahead. I would be really interested in increasing my knowledge of your US geography. So tonight's show opens up with a recap of last week's new Bloodline, Modern Bloodline, Bloodline 2.0 beatdown shenanigans last week with Cody and Randy. We get a reminder of the match at SummerSlam and Solo talking down Roman again and again with the moody sepia tones. I liked them for the first couple of weeks, but maybe they need to look at a different palette because we always seem to be looking at them in sepia tones. Anyway, that's just a silly small point. So first up and first out this week is Cody. His music hits, and as always, he gets an absolutely massive pop. He doesn't look in bad shape considering he got a good kick in last week. The Cody versus Solo match has a nice looking graphic, so it looks like that match is official at SummerSlam, like we didn't know it would be, but we all did. Wade and Corey are reminding us that after what happened last week, it will be very hard for Cody at SummerSlam. Yep. No kidding. Cody cuts his promo. He wants to talk about Randy Orton. He tells us that he's very proud to have Randy as a mentor and as a friend. He says he wouldn't be standing here as champion, but wouldn't be back in WWE, he alludes to as well, without him. The crowd obviously loved this, as Randy is very much over at the moment in a non-heel role, and they cheer for Randy. Cody says that he feels very guilty after all Randy's been through. He's a guy with a family, and he had his terrible injuries with his spinal fusion surgery. And to see him destroyed by the bloodline last week felt terrible. He tells us that he considers Randy to be his brother and his family. And Cody then talks right down the camera to Solo. And he reminds Solo that he has already told him, and before Mania 39, that Cody didn't think Solo was ready. He warned Solo not to try and erase his time as the enforcer to the original bloodline, and now he's trying to be the tribal chief and he still isn't ready. So I'm finding this quite fun because this is obviously alluding back to storytelling at the WrestleMania before last. They're bringing in all of those threads, and I think, as I said last week, probably and the week before as well, really enjoying this storytelling. Feels very immersive and very all around rather than in isolation. So for me, this is just brilliant at the moment. So he barely gets to finish his sentence, and randomly he's interrupted by what I can only call the two smuggest looking blokes on the TV tonight. Don't know what they've got to be so happy about. They've been roundly beaten twice in a row by DIY, but there we go. Here come Waller and Theory. Bit weird. Can't really figure why they're getting involved in this. Anyway, the crowd are booing, and Theory starts to cut a promo saying that because of Cody, he got attacked by Jacob Fatu last week. Cody reminds him that it was actually Waller that kneed him right in the face, and clearly there's still plenty of tension between the ex-tag team champs. Waller interrupts and tells him not to bother pushing that narrative, and blames Cody and says he should feel guilty for Randy getting beat up. Cody then snaps and starts beating down Waller, but obviously Theory gets involved. The numbers game works against him, and he's chucked out of the ring. Cody gets a chair, sorts out Waller, kicks Theory, and I had to do a rewind here because I didn't quite catch who the guy was. The guy who handed Cody the chair is Terence Crawford, and he's a boxer, and his hometown is Omaha. And as I said, I had to rewind to catch that. My apologies, I'm not really into boxing. So Cody comes out just about on top, but it really does look like everyone is out to get him right now, which is, I guess, the point and what we're supposed to be feeling. So again, the storytelling is absolutely working. We then move backstage. We see Carmelo Hayes getting a haircut. His barber asked him how he's feeling, and he turns and tells Andrade he won't be missing first. Their match is up next. My hairdresser definitely has better chat than that guy. We talk, where are you going on your holidays? Are you doing anything this weekend? How's work? This guy just, had one line. But there we go. Maybe he's like a special WWE barber. So we go from there. We go to a break, and we come back from the break, and we see Cody bump into Nick Aldis backstage, and he says that he wants a match tonight with Theory and Waller, so he can send a message to the Bloodline. Nick agrees, but tells him he needs to find a tag team partner. Cody says he doesn't need one. Yeah, you do, Cody. Definitely. Nick tells him to find a partner by the end of the night, or he can't have the match. So now we're all wondering who his partner's going to be. We know it's not Randy, because Randy seems to be written off at the moment following the beatdown from last week. So we go back to the ring, and we get tonight's first in-ring action. And we have Carmelo Hayes making his way to the ring. And as my mum would have said, doesn't he just think he's body every self? For anyone who's not sure what that means, basically just means, doesn't he love himself a bit too much? I'm sure he's wonderful, but wow. Out comes Andrade, and the crowd doesn't seem to be super into either of these guys too much. Obviously, that's the impression that comes over on TV. In person might be quite different, and I think often is quite different when you're actually there in the arena, but certainly from the coverage that we got here, neither of them seems to be that over with the crowd, which is a shame. As we kick off, the start is obviously very athletic. Both guys, very impressive, very even start, a couple of quick covers each, and the match keeps going back and forth. Hayes gets the upper hand as we go to the break, and happy that they seem to be continuing with whatever they started last week. And do you know what, guys? I'm taking this as somebody from WWE has listened to the podcast and realised, God, that whiny middle-aged woman from the UK hates it when we come back and we've completely changed the tables and we don't know how this happened. So do you know what? Let's just not do that anymore. Let's either give them a summary or let it be as it was before they went to the break. I'm kidding, obviously, but anyway, so I'm happy to say, come back, Hayes is still in charge, and we also get a replay of what happened over the adverts, which is brilliant. So I have to find something else to whinge about now. Andrade flattens Hayes with a massive clothesline, takes the initiative with some dragon screws, double knees from Andrade and a close 2 cover, face buster from Hayes and a super near fall for him. Another super close fall as Andrade goes off the top with a moonsault, and a massive elbow in the face from Andrade and another near fall. Hayes pulls off his move, which I think is called the first 48, and a counter as Andrade comes from the top rope again, leading to another near fall, this time for Hayes. Andrade hits what I think is called the message, and gets the 3 count in a match that lasted about 8 minutes or so. Despite the lukewarm entrances, this was a great match. Really, really good match. These guys are both super talented. The crowd certainly warmed up to it as we went on, and by the end we had "This is awesome" chants, which is fantastic. We also had Wade and Corey telling us that everybody is stepping up their game on SmackDown because we're getting so close to SummerSlam. And it really does feel like that. We haven't really had a sucky match for what feels like a long time. They've all been pretty good. I'm personally really pleased that Andrade is back in WWE. He's really talented, and I think he's a very different kind of wrestler. I can see both these two in the next year or so challenging for titles, big matches, storylines. Maybe not the biggest titles, but you never know. They're both got real talent, and I like them both. Probably not as much as Carmelo Hayes loves himself, though. We now go to a replay of the women's action from last week, which featured Nia, Tiffany, Meechin, and Bayley. Wade hilariously describes it as a huge victory for Nia, really, over Meechin. I'm not sure huge exactly, but it was a win, so we'll give him that. It was definitely a win. But huge. We then re-see Tiffy and Nia beat down Bayley, and we get a replay of the will she won't she cash in moment, which I think we've been re-shown for a reason. I'm wondering if the best laid plans of Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax maybe aren't going to come off quite as they hope. We then have a split screen sit down with Bayley and Nia. So they're obviously in different areas of the building, but they're side by side on the screen in a split screen. Corey tries to open up with a question about SummerSlam to Nia, but she shuts him down straight away, says she wasn't even listening to him. Instead, she says, "Look at me, Bailey," which I'm not sure how she can when they're sitting in a split screen. They said, Nia says that people should start feeling sorry for her at SummerSlam. She is going to put down Bailey like an old sick dog. Bit harsh. Bailey cuts in and says that Nia hasn't changed a bit in the last 10 years. Nia says she has and wants to be addressed as Queen Nia. Bailey says Nia is heartless and has a big mouth, and in 2017 took Bailey out of SummerSlam, out of her SummerSlam match, not because she's big, fast and strong, but because she's big, clumsy and reckless. Wow. Ouch. And also a fair point, I guess. Ask Becky Lynch's broken nose, right? I wondered where this was going. Thought it sounded a bit like playground drama. You're heartless and you've got a big mouth. And I was thinking, oh God, where are we going with this? But then when we got the big, clumsy and reckless, that was great. I love it when they are in the grey area between real and storyline. So at this point, Nia does some pretty awesome smell the fart acting face. That's a Friends reference. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I apologise, but do Google it. It's hilarious. Nia says she's content being the queen and being on top. I don't think she is on top because she doesn't have the title, so technically she's not on top. Bailey says similar. She says she has some bad news for Nia. She's changed and she will walk out with the title. The crowd like that a lot. We get a lot of cheers. And then Nia storms off. So that's probably a win for Bailey. I like the use of the split screen interview stroke promo instead of the constant pull apart brawls that we sometimes get. And again, I'm glad to see Bailey with a bit more direction at the moment. And Bailey seems to be fixated on saying that she's changed. I don't know what that means, but they usually spoon feed us things like that for a reason. So I have no prediction of what that actually means yet, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Quick side note here. I'm really liking the graphics for SummerSlam as the Bailey and Nia graphic came up after that promo. They remind me of a retro kind of computer game from the 90s with the different poses as they cycle through. So I'm really enjoying that. We then cut to backstage and it's badged as earlier today. We've got Bianca and Jade bumping into Chelsea and Piper. Bianca says they look lost and they all seemingly want to talk to Nick Aldis. Chelsea has the cheek to say, "Are you just going in there to complain?" God, I love her. Absolutely love her. I know we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be irritated by her, but I'm not. I love her. They have a row about who will go in to speak to Nick first, and we end up with Bianca challenging Chelsea to a match, which incidentally is coming straight up. So the next match we have is Bianca versus Chelsea. So out comes Bianca, accompanied by Jade. They seem to get a decent pop, which is still going on when we come back from the break, actually. So must have been a good one. And down comes Chelsea again, a decent pop, accompanied by Piper. Corey asks Wade why Piper is always in such a bad mood, and he makes a random comment about her being like a dog. I'm not sure he'd say that to her face, but there we go. And on with the match. Chelsea gives Bianca a snide slap to start off. Bianca soon gets the upper hand with her power game. Chelsea nearly nicks it by holding the tights, but Belair counters and gets the 3 count in a match that lasted less than 3 minutes. Bit annoying. Don't know why. 3-minute matches. I know that we're to believe that Bianca is, and she is, a very powerful and a very good athlete, but Chelsea just did an amazing showing in Money in the Bank. We know she's capable of much more than that, so that's frustrating. A match that lasted less than 3 minutes. Chelsea has a bit of a tantrum, and it looks like we're lining up for a tag team match with those four in the future, which is great. It's good to see them developing the tag team division outside of the championship belts. And then we get Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, the tag team champs, come onto the big screen and say they've heard that Jade and Bianca are looking for them, and they will have a match next week, but they don't commit to it being a rematch, which I'm sure is very frustrating for Jade and Bianca. We come back from the break, and Nick Aldis is in the ring. He reminds us that the contract for the US Championship is already signed by him and LA Knight. If you remember, that was done last week. He brings out LA Knight first to the usual massive pop, and then out comes Logan Paul, who's they start booing him before he even gets announced properly. He takes the mic straight away, and the boos continue with some Logan sucks chants. And he says, why would he give LA Knight a shot at his title? LA Knight says every time they have a face-to-face, he has owned him, but he doesn't want to take it away from Logan Paul, that he is the guy around here, he has got the title. He says he beat him at the Money in the Bank qualifier, and now he's chasing him down to get him to sign the contract, which is a fair point. Logan says he doesn't need this match, but LA Knight is desperate for it, and Logan says that he has so much more in his life than just wrestling. He goes on to list a bunch of stuff about his brother and about his brands and about his other things that he does. He says, and I had to write this down because this is quite weird, he says the name Paul is built into the zeitgeist of sports culture. Bit of a reach, but okay, Logan. LA Knight points out that Logan's brother is willing to jump into the ring with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, who must be about 700 years old by now. But Logan doesn't have the balls to get in the ring with LA Knight. That seems to really tick Logan Paul off, and he signs the contract, and they have a bit of a face-off in the ring. Thankfully, with Nick being an ex-gladiator, he has it all under control, or not, as Paul blindsides Knight. God, I hope LA Knight wins at SummerSlam. So an early prediction, and also really hope that LA Knight wins. I would love to see him with a title, and I think he really deserves it. He's no spring chicken. He's been around for ages, and I think, honestly, he really deserves that title. So everything is crossed for me. We then get a vignette for Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton. Pretty much just a montage of her athletic moves, saying how good she is, and that she's the centre of the universe, and it's Tiffy time, and that goes on for about 30 seconds. Reminding us all of her epic win at Money in the Bank. And then she comes down to the ring with Nia Jax in tow, and she still didn't bedazzle the Money in the Bank briefcase, which I think I'm secretly a little bit disappointed about. Before that match kicks off, we get a backstage segment as LA Knight sort of leaving the arena or going back to the changing rooms, bumps into Santos Escobar, who says that he's never pinned him, and everybody knows it would be different if they went one-on-one. Knight says he has some free time before SummerSlam, and his mama has his number. And is your mama joke ever not funny? Just never. Even, out of high school. Still always funny. We go back to the ring where Tiffany is ready and waiting for Michin to make her entrance. Michin's new look and reset attitude seem to be working well for her. She gets a decent response from the crowd. We start the match. Tiffany is straight on the offensive, but Meechin gets in a massive drop kick and a cannonball into a quick cover for one. Tiffany slides out of the ring to get her breath and runs right behind Nia. And off the distraction, Tiffany then delivers an absolutely massive Alabama slam on the outside as we go to the break. When we come back, Tiffany has Meechin back in the ring and remains in charge. Again, thank you WWE overlords. Gets a 2 count off another power move, and Meechin gets a counter and a couple of near falls and goes on the attack. Meechin with a tornado DDT, excuse me, 3:30 in the morning, getting my tongue tied. DDT gets a really near 3 count, and then Tiffany comes back on the attack, and the commentary team are really selling Meechin's bad back from the earlier move outside the ring. Meechin gets a break, but Nia interferes, allowing Tiffany to set up for the prettiest moonsault. But then Bayley appears, distracting Tiffany, and absolutely wallops Nia with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Bayley goes on to trash the briefcase, and off the distraction, Meechin rolls up Tiffany for the win, which I have to say I was not expecting, but I'm actually happy. I'm really loving Bayley and Meechin, much better than Bayley and Naomi. They seem to have much better chemistry. Like where this is going. I'm wondering, do we think Meechin is going to pitch up and help even the odds at SummerSlam? Do we think maybe she helps Bayley win and then also helps avoid a potential cash-in? Or is there something else afoot? It's just another intriguing angle. And so pleased that both Bayley has got something decent to get her teeth into and her title run is finally interesting. But also Meechin seems to have been reinvented by WWE recently. And I'm really enjoying it. So it seems like the women's division is in a good place. And remembering that we've still got Charlotte to come back as well. Don't know where she's going to fit in. So all is well. We then cut to another moodily lit vignette from the new Bloodline. Solo talks about how good life is when you're the tribal chief on the island of relevancy. But it's also busy. He wants to know who is going to disrespect the tribal chief and step up to be Cody's partner. He warns whoever it is will pay for being against him and his family. He says tonight better be a handicap match or he will destroy whoever it is like he did Randy. Ominous stuff. I think if he wants to be taken seriously as the new tribal chief, he should probably get some new material. He can't have the island of relevancy. That was definitely a Roman Reigns thing. We then get a replay of DIY beating Waller and Theory for the second time, which led to Theory being attacked by Jacob Fatu last week. So just a reminder of why everyone is so cross. Next week, we get told we're going to have a match to determine the number one contender for the tag team titles. Come on, Pretty Deadly. And the match between LA Knight and Santos Escobar is confirmed. I guess his mama did have his number. And we also get Bayley and Meechin versus Tiffy and Nia. So 3 good matches. Already looking forward to them. We then see Cody striking a very lonely figure, walking all by himself backstage before he bumps into who will be his tag team partner tonight, and that's KO. Yay! The Bloodline already hate him, so it doesn't really matter. That's okay. You know, you can only hate someone so much, right? We get an update on KO's mum, who apparently is doing better, so that's good news too. Cody makes his second entrance of the night and gets another huge pop from the crowd. They really kept it up tonight. Out come their opponents, Theory and Waller, who get a decent Healy reception, as you would expect. And I thought the look of utter contempt on KO's face as those two came into the ring was an absolute picture. I will try and screenshot it a bit later on when I've been to bed and get back up again and put it on my Twitter. He looks like I don't know. Just the look on his face is priceless. I will find it. So Cody and Theory to kick off to start the match, and Cody does well in the early stages, tagging in KO nice and early, who continues making headway as he poleaxes the giant prime bottle again. I think this is obviously going to be his shtick that he does now, week after week, about the third week in a row, that he's just got that giant prime bottle and lobbed it somewhere. Cody comes back in, and Theory and Waller turn the tables, getting in some good offense, cutting off the ring in good old tag team style. Cody makes a tag. KO flies in at Theory and Waller. I thought KO seemed more angry than usual tonight, and he tries to pull off the Strowman choo-choo train run around the ring move, which he did. It's interesting. So KO cannonballs Waller. Theory distracts him mid-swanton and turns the table. We get a near fall for Theory, and the heels are now in complete control. Come back from the break. Where we were, Waller has a couple of near falls. Waller has KO in a headlock and knees him in the head at the same time, which I thought looked brutal. KO outside the ring fights back and is desperate to make the tag, but is prevented by Waller. Waller has KO on the top rope, and we get a bit of back and forth, beating each other up and exchanging blows on the top rope. Eventually, after must have been 90 seconds, couple of minutes, KO gets the best of Waller, performing a swanton, needs the tag. Cody is in the ring and rains down all his fury on Theory, but there's a blind tag. DDT's Theory, who isn't legal. In comes Waller on the blind side for a really close 2 count. Theory is back in, but Waller once again has a near miss on Theory. A crossroads and a stunner finally puts Theory away for the win for KO and Cody. Whilst they are having what might be one of WWE's shortest celebration, the new Bloodline music hits, and down they come to the ring, presumably to directly deliver the consequences to KO. Cody tries to get in first, and KO gouges the eyes of Tongaloa. So it's nice to see that the faces aren't just playing clean, they are being how you would be if you were fighting against such a horrible group as Bloodline. KO and Cody look like they're about to put Solo through the table, but out comes Jacob Fatu to put a stop to it all. He smashes KO 5 or 6 times in the corner while Cody is forced to watch, and finishes off with a flying headbutt, which looks pretty gnarly. And then the Bloodline finally put Cody through the announce table. Again, we end the episode with the Bloodline with their wands in the air, surrounded by their decimation as the crowd continue to cheer for Roman. So I guess the story we're getting here is that Cody's allies are being picked off, being removed one by one, as I think now this looks like KO is ready to join Randy on the shelf in storyline, as Cody heads to SummerSlam all alone, hopefully queuing things up perfectly for Roman and the OG Bloodline to return. At least I really, really hope that's what we get. It would be such a shame if we got to SummerSlam and that isn't what happens. But I hope it is. So, all in all, I think another really good episode of SmackDown. Feel very lucky that I have got this show to review. I also watched Raw this week, as I always watch both shows, and I definitely think that SmackDown is the more interesting show to watch. So I feel like we're lucky. And I was thinking, if we could swap anybody, like a little mini mid-season draft from Raw, who would we have? So I'm going to say, obviously, CM Punk, closely followed by Rhea Ripley. But I'd love to know what you guys think. So give me a shout on X. I am at Amanda SD Pod. Let me know who you would like to bring over to our show. As I said, I am a firm believer with CM Punk and Rhea Ripley. So let me know. One boy, one girl. Who would you have? So guys, that just about does it for this week's show. It's 3:43, way past my bedtime. Once again, and as always, thank you for having me in your ears. Thank you for all your comments and the interactions on Twitter over the week. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I hope you have a great week, and remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.